Hello everyone, welcome to another session on Introduction to Television and Cinema. So in the last session, we were discussing about the Soviet montage theory. So this is a continuation lecture to that. And in this lecture, I would like to focus more on the concept of montage. Okay, so before I get into that, I feel like I should explain certain other concepts related to it. Like you can say one point that I missed out last time was that Eisenstein divided. His work has been divided into two periods. The first is characterized by mass dramas, which is in fact focusing more on the Marxist political struggle of the proletariat. Okay, and that particular phase, we see the film like the strike or the battleship Potemkin. But of the time being, let's pronounce it in the way we actually spell it. Okay, so these two things are very important. You have to study in detail about the battleship Potemkin also. So that is also important. Okay, another period of the works of Eisenstein, you can say, is like it is characterized by a shift to the individualized narratives. Okay, that is the second period. That even there you can see the montage theory is applied, especially in dialectical materialism sense of the term. Okay, so that also you have to remember. Just like it is already given in your notes. So I just wanted to explain that. Okay, then as I've told you earlier, maybe because of the distance, or you can say lack of access, or the regulations of the Soviet Union during that particular phase, this particular theory not have that much of spread as expected. Another section of your chapter of your textbook is on Battleship Potemkin, which you can read and understand. It is basically a film by Eisenstein, and which came in the year 1925. So that is one thing that you can remember, and it is one of the best example for this particular technique. Soviet montage theory is remember. So with that, I conclude that particular area and I move on to montage theory. So montage theory in its rudimentary form asserts a series of connected images allows for complex ideas to be extracted from a sequence. Okay, when strung together, constitute the entirety of film's ideological and intellectual power. So this is the basic idea that is discussed, that can be discussed in relation to montage theory. A series of images, okay, when they come together in its wholeness, they bring up, they come up with, some new idea, or you can say it has got ideological and intellectual power when it gets united. Okay, so that is the base idea. A series of distinct images, or you can say distinct ideas, when they are brought together, they can come up with a very strong intellectual and ideological power. Okay, so that is the idea. In other words, basically it is about what? It is about editing of shots. Okay, rather than the content of the shots. Content of the shots may be good. Okay, but the essence of the cinema is in the editing of it. That is the idea that is put forward by montage theorists. Okay, that unless and until you edit the matter, the idea, the cinema cannot be perfect. Okay, so many directors still believe that montage is what defines the cinema against other specific media. It is what actually makes a cinema. You're getting it? That is montage. That is the idea that is put forward by many theorists even now. Okay, so that is the significance of, you can say, montage. According to some critics, this is like the literal grammar of film. Grammar of film is getting reflected in montage theory, according to some theorists. One of the famous view of you can say of Eisenstein is, I quote, montage is an idea that arises from the collision of independent shots, wherein each sequential element is perceived not next to the other but on the top of the other, unquote, has become most widely accepted. So each and every shot is important, and it is in the arrangement of the shots that you can say the sense of film is generated. This is like an entirely different view, you can say. Okay, in the production of films also, you can say films focused more on individuals, okay, rather than the masses. And also you can say they were like, counter revolutionary, not always, not exclusively so, but you can say that, they were counter revolutionary, okay. And there were crucial importance for given to social Soviet leadership and filmmakers. All these things are important. The Soviet leadership has got a tremendous influence on films during the time, and because of that, you can say films were restricted to certain typical patterns, or you can say to certain ideologies during this particular phase. And another thing is like, and because of that, maybe because of that, you can say that in the time period of Soviet montage theory was roughly between 1920, or you can say 1910 to the beginning of 1930s. There was strict censorship on films because the type of political leadership in Russia also, or you can say Soviet Russia also changed during that particular time. So literature, then films, all these things got some kind of censorship during that particular phase. We talk about the relevance of Soviet montage theory, or you can say the contemporary, significance of Soviet montage theory, where you can say that the way in which they talked about some ideologies, or you can say certain very typical kind of propaganda that they try to spread through films. They were nicely or neatly covered in certain images that they used to portray. So in the present context also, when there is something like political agitation and all, at that time, you can say that there is still relevance to the images, that are covertly used in films, that can definitely has got an influence in the present era also. So with that, you can say we can conclude this particular session on Soviet montage theory. So I have given you some notes, and other than that, you have the textbook with you. So go through it, and if you find it difficult, we'll have a detailed discussion later. Okay. So with that, I conclude that particular session on Soviet montage theory. And thank you, and God bless.